I sold my car in Carvana last night.
Well, that's cool.
No, you don't understand. It went perfectly. Real offer, down to the penny. They're picking it up tomorrow. Nothing went wrong.
So, what's the problem?
That is the problem. Nothing in my life goes as smoothly. I'm waiting for the catch.
Maybe there's no catch.
That's exactly what a catch would want me to think.
Wow, you need to relax.
I need to knock on wood. Do we have wood? Is this table wood?
I think it's laminate.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's close enough.
Car selling without a catch. Sell your car today on
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply.
Your vehicle doesn't just get you from here to there. It's a bridge to the people and places that matter most. It's how you show up for your family, your community, and everyone else that depends on you. That's why for 125 years, Firestone has been building tires with one thing in mind: to deliver products that are as reliable as you are. Firestone, always dependable since 1900.
Last night, you spent 2 hours deciding what to wear to the party. This morning, it'll take you 2 minutes to list it on Depop and make your money back. Just grab your phone, snap a few photos, and we'll take care of the rest. The sheer dress and platform heels you'll never wear again? There's a birthday girl searching for them right now. Your one-and-done look is about to pay for your next night out. Or at least the ride home. Your style can make you cash. Start selling on Depop, where taste recognizes taste.
This season of Pack Your Knives is presented by the Charlotte Regional Visitors Authority, and we got something special, a 6-part Savor Charlotte edition, diving into the people shaping one of the South's most exciting food scenes. Charlotte's been getting a lot of national buzz lately, and for good reason. From hosting Top Chef Carolinas to its growing presence in the Michelin Guide, the city is quickly becoming a place where bold new ideas and Southern tradition come together on the plate. So go check out charlottesgotalot.com for more. Sara, what's your birthday dessert?
Strawberry pie. My mother always made me strawberry pie because there were always really good strawberries in Paducah around my birthday. So I always had strawberry pie.
What goes into a strawberry pie? Is it a lot of strawberry topping? Is it like bordered with strawberries? Is it topped with strawberry slices? Like, what are we talking here?
You got to blind bake the crust. So you make a crust and you bake it in the oven till it's done because the filling goes in and then it sets up in the refrigerator. So a lot of strawberry flavored Jell-O, strawberries, cornstarch, sugar, water. That's it.
It's not as good as funfetti cake from the box.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. I do funfetti cake every birthday, and I need to have 2 things of funfetti icing.
Icing also? Funfetti all the way?
All the way. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Big funfetti guy. When I was a kid, my mom used to get spice cake from the box, and that was her thing. I didn't quite know what spice cake was, but I think a little bit of it was in this episode. So you know what? We're going to talk about it all. This is Pack Your Knives. I'm Tom Haberstroh.
I'm Sara Bradley.
Whoa, we have lots to get into, Sara. Sara, there's like Seegergate. Like, where is Seeger? What is going on? We have Last Chance Kitchen kind of drama that we're going to get into. And typically we don't do the most recent aired Last Chance Kitchen because we want to let people watch the real episode of Top Chef and then some time before we jump into the digital second sideshow. And this week we're going to kind of do things a little bit differently because there's just so much here that we got to unpack. And I also have to unpack, I went to a Top Chef watch party on Monday at Sweet Lou's Barbecue with Oscar, Dwen, and Anthony, and Brittany was there too. So lots to unpack here, Sara, but any questions for me about the experience on Monday night?
Did you find out what's up with all the grapes? Did you remember to ask?
I did. I asked when, and she had no idea. She's like, that is so funny. I didn't realize that, but grapes Jen, she didn't put 2 and 2 together. So there's no like backstory there, unfortunately, but maybe we got to get to the source at some point this season and ask Jen about the obsession with grapes.
I'm going to find out. I have stalked her social media a little bit.
Yeah. As we will get into here, because it was a crazy week with Jen. being asked to leave the competition or / she decided to leave the competition because of her shoulder injury. We're going to get into all of this. But I want to also mention it was at Sweet Lou's, which is Louis Donald's barbecue joint in Charlotte. And he was in one of the pit masters for the barbecue episode. It was great. It was a lot of fun. They actually cooked. Anthony, Dwayne, and Oscar cooked their barbecue dishes from the barbecue episode. And I got to say, Allison, my wife, and I, we went back for like seconds and thirds of Dwayne's dish, and we got the backstory. Dwayne, the nickname, came from Oscar.
Yeah.
Oscar gave it to her because they were playing poker and cards in the back, wasting time and spending time. And Dwayne was such an assassin at cards that he's like, who is this person? This alter ego? Is this Dwayne? And that's the first time she's ever been called Dwayne. But now she's like, yeah, I'm gonna run with this. So Dwayne was coined by Oscar, who is the guy that you want at every party, like a bachelor party, a hangout. You want Oscar there. He is so much fun. Dwayne, Brittany, and Anthony too. But the personality of Oscar, as you get on this episode, how he's just schmoozing and he's a big talker. He is so much fun, Sarah.
Did he tell you, is it tamal or tamale?
It's in a plural, I think it's tamales. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. So he cooked the tamal. It was delicious. I had a plate and a half of that. It was great. And he had just come down from Raleigh. It's a 3-hour drive, so it's not a small trip, but he's like, I got to come back to Charlotte so much more. We had a great time. And it was, Sarah, watching with the chefs, they have so much fun watching the edited episode because there's so many things that are like, ooh, did that make it to air? Like the mango, how do you say mango in Spanish moment from Dwayne, and then asking Oscar, and he's like, it's mango, is a moment where they were secretly hoping didn't make it to the show, because it was just like, how could I not know this? But that little moment captured in the Super G grocery store did make it to air, and they're just laughing hysterically. So there's some earnestness, there's some joy, like innocence, that it was fun to watch the episode with the other chefs because they have not seen the final product. And so they're just giggling throughout the episode. Oh, they showed that. Oh, I can't believe it. And so there's a lot. It was really fun to watch with them. So, and then if I had known what was happening in this episode at that Monday watch party, I'd have so many more questions for them. But of course, they can't say anything because this is all very strong NDAs and they will not say anything. They did not leak anything at this event. And they were very, this is one of those things where all these fans are there. There's over 100 people at this barbecue. And of course, they're asking all these questions. And they're just like, you'll have to watch and find out. And this week's episode of Top Chef felt like, to me, one of those. Sarah, do you have any answers about how they're going to play this out? Because Jen goes home, and then in the same episode that Justin gets eliminated, but then when you go to Last Chance Kitchen from last week, there's no new eliminated chef. So Seeger's nowhere to be found.
Is he nowhere to be found, or do they have to bring someone has to come back? Right. So I don't know. I thought maybe it'd be like, okay, the winner of this round of Last Chance Kitchen. I mean, maybe Seeger was like, F y'all, I'm out of here. I'm done with this. I am through and I'm gone. And so they're like, okay, well, we can figure that out because we'll have somebody the next time. But then they lose 2 chefs because Justin says he's not coming. He's not participating if Jen is in the hospital. But then we see that he goes to Last Chance Kitchen. And he's like, she's fine. And we've decided that I'm going to try to play to get back in. But they still have to have another chef. So does Seeger replace Jen? There's that option.
Yep.
Or does one of the teams cook a man down? Because the brothers, you can see them in the preview of next week. They are struggling. They're like doing knife work, like when service is going to start. So do they go maybe a man down and they're like, okay, you guys just don't have to do to-go orders to like even the field or something? You know, I don't know. But
Okay. Well, I have a revelation here for you, Sara.
okay.
I went to Restaurant Wars.
Yeah, I think I remember that. Did you go inside? No, yeah.
So I was at Restaurant Wars, and now I'm racking my brain, and I can't come up with anything. Did I see Seeger there?
Well, it's crazy because you wouldn't have known, right?
You
wouldn't have known who they are. You don't even know their names. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think you got to save the Restaurant Wars for Restaurant Wars.
That's right. So I'm saving the experience of Restaurant Wars there, but I just want to let people know that I was there and I still don't remember whether I saw Seeger or I didn't see Seeger, or I saw Jen or I didn't see Jen, or I didn't see Justin. Because you don't know their faces. Like, yes, we did the draft before we went, but like, for example, I wouldn't know if Seeger walked through holding a dish, bringing it out to the restaurant, or if it was just a server working the restaurant. I wouldn't be able to distinguish the two. So it's not like I was able to recognize faces when I'm at a restaurant or I'm walking around. So all the audience are in the dark about what happened to Seeger, and we're there too. Sara and I have no idea what's about to happen on the show. And Tom Colicchio in the Last Chance Kitchen said, well, we'll explain it all next week, but in the Last Chance Kitchen, there's still lots of questions that need answered. So,
of all the episodes of Top Chef that I have watched, which is every single episode that has ever aired, this might have been the craziest one. Like, they finally bring a couple on, and that one of the halves is having like horrible medical episode, and we don't find out what happens, and she has to leave the competition, and then her partner leaves with her, but we see him come back in LCK, and I mean, it's just like nonstop. It was crazy.
I mean, doing a production like Top Chef, there's a lot of structural production scheduling that has to happen that complicates the messaging that makes it to the final air. And so Last Chance Kitchen is going at the same time when it airs, but there's different production schedules when it comes to Last Chance Kitchen. So they have to think about, how are we going to explain this in a few months, and how are we going to like let people know what's actually happening here? And then there's the cliffhangers. We got to figure out how to leave people hanging. And this episode ends with kind of a cliffhanger, is what happens to the teams for Restaurant Wars. And so we don't really get all the answers we need, which is in of itself a good cliffhanger. And like you said, this is one of the craziest episodes. I wouldn't say the strongest episode, but I would say definitely one that has my head spinning more than just about any Top Chef episode we've seen.
I will say the one thing about this episode that I distinctly remember from being on the show is that I hated when we didn't leave set, when we were there for the whole thing, right? Like quick fire on set, and then it goes into cooking on set, and then serving, and then elimination. Like, I wanted to leave and walk away and be able to go to the store and like develop my dish. It almost is like 2 quick fires, just one of them's a little longer. They shot that all. I bet they were there so early in the morning and they didn't leave till so late at night. And that was, talk about production schedule. That was a big one. And then they had to like work in all the Jen stuff. And then you see Kristen in her street clothes, like crying after the show. Yeah.
That was a long day at the Top Chef kitchen.
Long day. They needed all those meals. They needed breakfast, lunch, dinner, dessert to get through the filming. What do you think about the quickfire?
I actually thought the two should have been flipped. The quickfire should have been in its own elimination challenge, and the elimination challenge should have been the quickfire, where it was like desserts fit for a queen, dessert challenge, and then we'll go to the Cracker Barrel sponsored segment. But usually the sponsored segments are in the quickfire, right? So it's lower stakes. It's not like an eliminated chef is doing a Cracker Barrel themed episode where they have to do breakfast, lunch, and dinner with their own thing, and kind of. I actually thought that there was a lot going on in this quickfire, it felt like elimination challenge. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. They pull out the peg game instead of the knife pull, which I absolutely love. Like I love Cracker Barrel. Listen, Cracker Barrel, every time I go to Cracker Barrel, I know exactly what I'm getting. I'm getting a fried egg sandwich, leave off the tomato, and I want extra mayonnaise. That's it. Eggs over easy, fried egg sandwich. And now they have these like little hash brown tots. So it's like the hash brown casserole, but they make it into like a tater tot. They're disgusting and they're delicious. And I love them. And that's what I'm getting. And so, yeah, I mean, I know their menu. It's not a huge menu. They now have booze at Cracker Barrel. I don't know if they have it where you are, but in Kentucky, you can get a beer, you can get a mimosa. I don't think you can get vodka, but you can get beer. I think you can't get liquor, but you can get beer and wine. Yeah. I know.
Well, I think they've mastered the whole, like, we're going to merch the heck out of this. Is they've, they have that gift shop in the front of Cracker Barrel that you have to kind of like walk through in order to get to the restaurant. And it reminds me, did they do that before Disney did that? You know how like if you go to Disney and you do a ride, you come out of the ride and then there's just a merch shop after you go through Space Mountain, then there's just a ton of like spacey astronaut merch that you can buy. Cracker Barrel's got it down. They've got it figured out. All of it. All of the marketing, the rocking chairs that they had on set in Top Chef Kitchen was brilliant. And the other thing is that kind of pulls in that the Charlotte airport is famous for all the rocking chairs or throughout the airport. And so you got that element to it and you could see that they were nervous. It was the yellow team, Brandon, Jonathan, and Anthony that were like really rocking their chairs. So they were called out on it because they were so nervous about, but they ended up winning this challenge. We have to back up here. I'm not a Southern Charm guy. This is not a Southern Charm household. So when Craig Conover and Madison LaCroix walk in, I could kind of vaguely know that they were a part of the Bravo, Southern Charm world, but I did not recognize them. So Sara, do you have people in your life, or are you a Southern Charm fanatic?
I am not a Southern Charm fanatic. I'm very sorry if they're listening, which I don't know if they are, but I had to look them up. I didn't know who they were. Yeah. Didn't know. But I thought that they had really like valuable insight, like very quippy, he's like, I picked a thin steak because I wanted it to cook quickly. And he was like, well, you definitely achieved that. Like they were funny. They were really good. And I felt like they kind of knew about food and what they were talking about. So, I thought it was a fun quickfire.
Fun quickfire. Again, there was a lot going on. So it was the Southern Charm folks were there. They pulled pegs instead of knives. And the twist on the twist on the twist is that they break out into teams, but they can only cook one chef at a time. One chef can cook once at a time. So there's 45 minutes to cook for 3 people on each team, which is about average out to 15 minutes. But as soon as the first person's done cooking, then the next person can get going. I love this stuff. I love the challenges where there's like a blind challenge, or you have to cook while blindfolded, and then you have to pick up where your partner left off, your team left off. I love those challenges. And I know people might think those are gimmicky. I think those are super fun to watch because it does this really, like, I'm watching the clock and seeing, oh, Gwen only has 12 minutes to get her dish out, or wow, he took 17 minutes. And the gamesmanship of all of that is really fascinating to me.
Yeah. I mean, I would have been losing my shit. I would have been absolutely panicked. I would have said, I'll go first. I want to go first. I always want to go last, but what if like all of a sudden you're left with like 6 minutes? I think that they would the chefs or the judges would understand, but you still, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
And because I feel like breakfast is you just do an eggs dish and you're done, right? It's quick.
Well, you had to create a new Southern classic that wasn't on the menu. I don't know that corned beef hash is a Southern classic. I think there's like,
I love corned beef hash.
I like corned beef hash too. I thought it was really good. The chicken tender, Lawrence, dude, how long have you been watching the show? Cut the thing open and make sure the chicken is cooked. And it was just, I probably would have eaten that chicken. I would have been okay with it. It was just a little bit pink. Like, I don't.
They really roasted him for that. I was
You
like,
cannot serve undercooked chicken. I still would have eaten it, but
Arnovitz famously likes undercooked chicken, so he would have gobbled that up. Kevin would have. But for me, I mean, if it's undercooked in a fry, if it's a chicken tendy and it's under, I'm not gonna freak out about that. But you know what it told me is that they believe in Lawrence as the favorite in this thing so much, because I don't think they're ragging on Justin if he does the same thing. But I think they hold Lawrence to such a high standard that they're like, come on, man, you know how to cook chicken. And I think that speaks to how your number one pick is just held to a higher standard than the rest of the chefs. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. We see 2 fried green tomato sandwiches. I would have preferred to have Dwayne's because I love country ham. Like, really. So a lot of people don't know around here, country ham. So that there's this thing called the ham belt. Okay. It starts way past kind of Paducah, but it kind of hits Western Kentucky, kind of dips down into Tennessee, goes straight across through North Carolina. Then you can follow it all the way around the world, where it hits in Italy, down into Spain. Like, it's the ham belt. It wraps all the way around the world. And it's a lot of areas where the humidity and the heat are very similar, because that's such a part of making ham. So around here, country ham is sliced and shaved like prosciutto. We call it country ham. There's 2 styles. There's like the big, huge, oversalted, really dried one that you got to soak in water. And then there's the one that you shave really thin. And that is one of my favorite items to eat. So of all the stuff out of there, I wanted her fried green tomato sandwich.
It looks great. And I think Anthony, the open-faced green tomato, I don't know. There was a lot going on that dish. It just seemed like I would rather go for Dwayne's too.
And Anthony's my guy. Avocado, like, didn't make it. Yeah, I didn't like it.
But yellow wins. Team yellow, Brandon, Jonathan, and Anthony win. Jonathan did the smothered steak with bourbon, pan gravy, no mashed potato in there. And he said, you know what? I didn't have enough time, but I would have thrown some mashed potato in there. Brandon, the eggs Benny with hash brown, shortcut hollandaise that he says he cooks for his kids and they love it. It looks so good. So good. And so, yeah, Team Yellow wins.
You know, I think what I'm taking away from this is Oscar. I just feel like his day is coming. I mean, he is like on the top, on the bottom, on the top, winning money, going home. Like, it's like he's all over the place. He had the favorite dish of the quickfire, and then one of the least favorites of the elimination challenge. So I don't foresee Oscar. I don't give him longevity in this competition,
because he's too up and down. You're saying so?
He's too up and down. Yeah. Which we've seen other chefs like be up and down and kind of all over. I mean, here we watched Rhoda win 2. Now she's in Last Chance Kitchen, so there is always a lot of up and down, but I think Oscar is he's too all over the place. I thought maybe this was his week. When I saw him put that pan of bread pudding in, I thought he's going home.
Yeah. Well, there's the fried oysters that Jen is trying to use kind of like the batter left over and try to throw it in there. Lemon pepper, cream corn. Dwayne did the fried green tomato we talked about. Justin, the New York strip beef hash, which, I mean, in theory, this sounds like a good dish, but when I was watching it, I was just like, this is not a good dish whatsoever. Yeah. And I have higher hopes because I love the canned corned beef hash. I think, is it from Hormel? I don't know. But I love corned beef hash, and that was a sad production of it. Oscar with the panda elote with the berries. It looks fantastic. Fluffy. The corn cake was excellent. The crab and shrimp bisque with Sherry, just really smart with the shrimp paste to throw in there, and pow, it was super flavorful. But Lawrence took him down. The fact that you had Sherry and Oscar on the same team, they had to justify why they didn't win it over, because those two may have been like the 2 favorite dishes of the day, and yet Lawrence's undercooked chicken sunk them.
Yeah, I mean, they said that that what Oscar's was the favorite dish of the day. And I have so many notes. Look at all those damn desserts. Yeah, but I don't know. I think that You can't be, listen, I've done it. You can't be on a team and win with undercooked protein.
Yeah. Been there.
Even Jossie, when he just couldn't cook the lamb long enough. Like it's always a protein. It's going to send you home. So.
One last thing before we get to the elimination challenge. I really like the puns of right before, they have to announce who is the winning chef or who's the losing chef. This week was which team cracked under pressure. And I'm wondering, Sara, was that your favorite one, or could you have come up with a better Cracker Barrel pun? I thought maybe which team had us over a barrel? Which team had us doing a barrel roll? Didn't work. None of those worked. So when which team cracked under pressure, I felt like was the best one of all the puns that you could come up with.
Do you think Tom is in the back writing those?
He's got
like, is he like, here's my crowning moment for the best dad joke, and he like.
This is why I'm the executive producer of this show is just so that I can come up and produce those last lines, the cheesy dad jokes. Which team cracked under pressure? And we go into the dessert challenge, which is Melissa Benoist is a singer, actress, super popular. Again, not in my world. I'm not a Glee Supergirl fan, and yet she has 4 million followers on Instagram. She was delightful. Really liked her. She's a Top Chef super fan. She said she's watched from day one, and you could really feel that with the reviews and how kind of starstruck she was on set, which was really fun to see. For someone as successful and famous as she is, I always like those moments where they turn into just a fan.
Yeah, I did. I agree. I did not know who she was. I had to look her up. I feel like I've seen her face. I recognize her, but I didn't know who she was. But I can imagine, think she is in this world. Like, she lives in the TV world and she has this show. I mean, she said she wrote a letter to get on. So I can see her. She's got 4 million followers. She's on all these TV shows and she's writing a letter to Top Chef. Please let me be on yours. I see you bring celebrities on. Please let me be on it. And then she gets to come. And it's like, she probably didn't know early on she was going to be some super famous person. So she's been watching Top Chef and now all of a sudden she's there. So I really like that one. I like that. We had Michael Sara on one of ours. And I was so excited.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, who'd you geek out the most when they walked in? Besides the guest judges from the culinary world. Is Michael Sara up there?
He was there, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think who else. I can't remember. Padma had so many dear friends.
John
don't remember. Oh,
Sorry.
I don't know how I feel about him. But, that is that is a different podcast.
Yes, I was just going to say, basketball. That would be a whole nother episode.
Start your day with Quaker Protein Instant Oatmeal. The instant oatmeal ready to help you tackle whatever your day brings. Like wrangling your toddler into their car seat. That was fun. Coaching your 6th graders soccer team. Go girls! And carrying all the groceries in one trip. Whew. Try Quaker Protein Instant Oatmeal, granola, and bars. Great taste and a good source of protein. Quaker, bring out the good.
Experience a membership that backs what you're building with American Express Business Platinum. Unlock over $3,500 in business and travel value annually with statement credits on select purchases from brands like Dell, Hilton, and Adobe, and other benefits. American Express Business Platinum. There's nothing like it. Based on total potential value of statement credits on select purchases and other benefits, enrollments required, monthly and other limits and terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum.
Pepsi Prebiotic Cola in original and cherry vanilla. That Pepsi taste you love with just 30 calories and no artificial sweeteners. Pepsi Prebiotic Cola. Unbelievably Pepsi.
All right, we got Charlotte history here. I've kind of let people know about how Charlotte calls itself First in Freedom because they declared independence from Great Britain before the founding fathers did. And so I was thinking that they were going to do a little bit of that in this for the 250th, anniversary of Charlotte. And what we got is the Queen Charlotte of Mecklenburg County, Germany. That's why it's called Mecklenburg County here in Charlotte. And there is an elimination challenge, which is dessert fit for a queen using an assortment of famous Southern dessert dishes. And there is going to be served to 60 Top Chef superfans, and they vote for the winner. And I wasn't totally clear whether they voted for the loser too, and they eliminated the chef, but it turns out that the judges would eliminate the chef. So it wasn't up for a vote. Sara, these desserts, how Southern are they, and are any in your cookbook?
Okay, I got a list. This is what I could come up with. Benny wafers, which I heard them call them Benny wafers. It's Benny, like Benny, even though it's not spelled like that. We got coconut cake, apple stack cake, caramel cake, banana pudding, strawberry cake, chocolate chess pie, Atlantic beach pie, hummingbird cake. I'm speculating from the overhead shot that one of those was hummingbird cake, the Sonker, ambrosia, Moravian sugar cake. And then there's 2 baked pies that I can't figure out. One is maybe a sugar pie and one is maybe another chess pie. I can't really tell. I see a pecan pie up there. Mm-hmm. You know what? I have Sonker written twice and there were 16 desserts. So I'm missing one. Well, I counted 16.
Which one are you sprinting towards?
So my gut instinct tells me to get the chocolate chess pie because I would have done something very, very similar to what Jonathan did. Chocolate chess pie and pudding, those are the same ingredients. It's like, he doesn't, it's not that different. But what I really would have reached for is the apple stack cake.
Yeah.
That is a very classic dessert where I come from. And my grandmother made it. Can I give you the history of apple stack cake?
Please, I would love nothing more.
This is the Appalachia history, Appalachian, whatever you want to say. People would show up to a wedding, and as they would show up to this wedding, they would bring a layer of cake. They'd make a small little layer of cake, and they would bring it. And those parties, these weddings would go all day long. And so people would show up, they'd put the cake down, and then they'd smear it with apple butter. Next person shows up, they put the layer down, they smear it with apple butter. It goes and goes and goes. And finally, at the end of the party, they cut the cake. And sometimes if these weddings went on for more than one day or so, it might be day 2 before you cut the apple stack cake. And I actually prefer my apple stack cake on like day 3 or 4 when it's really been sitting around. But yeah, the bigger your cake was, the more kind of affluent because you had more people at your wedding. So that is the history. And I am very sorry to the people, the culinary team on Top Chef, but that was the worst apple stack cake I have ever seen in my entire life. It was so blonde. We make it with like spiced cake and like it has sorghum in it and stuff. And that was like the blondest, most vanilla looking apple stack cake I have ever seen. But that's what I would have gone for. I would have reached
the one that was on the
yeah, not Anthony's, the one that was on the table.
A poor representation of a good apple stack cake.
Yeah, and it was like 4 layers. Like, that's not a wedding cake. That's like a funfetti box cake. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah, that's so good. I mean, it's my Cheetos, or it's the thing that is not the most culinary gourmet thing, but I can't get enough of it.
Do you love the batter? Do you like the batter of a cake more or do you like the cooked cake itself?
I am the guy who goes straight for the brownie mix and just inhales brownie mix, and I want that gooey brownie. I like the if you can give me a really gooey uncooked center and then a crispy corner piece in the same bite, that's heaven to me. Cake batter, everything, all of that funfetti. It's going to take years off my life for sure, but I love that stuff. So yeah, I'm a big batter person.
Yeah, I mean, I would have done that, or I would have gone for that banana pudding.
Nanner pudding, man.
Yeah,
it is Pick and Pig in Carthage, North Carolina, barbecue joint where it's on an airstrip, and people fly in from all around North Carolina, South Carolina to like go to this barbecue joint in outside in Moore County. They have this nanner pudding that is so good. And it is like you got to get like 3 of them and take them home so that you can have it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner dessert.
Okay, I got to ask. Thing. You're saying nanner pudding. Is nanner pudding what they call it? Or is that like
that's what they call it?
So, that's what they call it, nanner pudding. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I have this friend, Chef Kevin Lee, and he makes banana-less banana pudding. And it's like it's exactly what you think. And it is like one of his biggest sellers. It is like he's out in Oklahoma City and banana-less banana pudding. And
he's
it's like
champions.
He can't get off the menu. Yeah. But
wait, so banana-less banana pudding, is it artificial banana is what we're talking?
No, there's just no bananas in it. It's like it's got the vanilla wafers, it's got the it's got the pudding, it's got the whipped cream, it's got all the stuff just without bananas.
I like that.
Yeah.
And
but it's delicious. It's absolutely delicious. It just doesn't have bananas in it. And he calls it that on the
menu. Artificial banana makes me gag. So like there's a Skittles tropical Skittles thing that I remember at the YMCA after basketball practice. Everyone would go get like their $1 and go put it in the vending machine, and they would always get the tropical Skittles with the one with the banana Skittle in it. Disgusting. And ever since then, it's artificial cherries and artificial banana. So the real thing that's why I asked whether this is an artificial banana flavoring, which is why it's a banana-less banana pudding. So I'm glad that Kevin does not do that because it wouldn't stay down.
We see a lot of banana in this episode, even from Dwayne, but my favorite banana candy is Banana Laffy Taffy.
No, see,
I like to hold the Laffy Taffy in my hand for just a little bit before I actually eat it. So it's kind of warm, like inside the wrapper, you kind of rub it around in your hands. It gets a little soft and then you can really like stretch it. I would do I thought for some reason I was being so cool. I would pull the taffy. Like I was making my own saltwater taffy like as a child. And I love that shit. Oh my God.
Banana Laffy Taffy
Banana Laffy Taffy.
Bottom of the barrel. That's insane. It's insane. Yeah. Wait, do you also, when you get Airheads, do you smack it and create a ball? This is what I used to do.
I think you told me about that. Someone recently told me about that and I'd never done it. And I did it. And that takes a while. You're like, yeah.
So here's, I don't think I've told you this. So someone else does this too. I guess this is a thing. So you get Airheads and the wrapper, you just kind of hit it on your thigh or your forearm or your hand enough that all of that, gumminess gets into like a hard rock at the end of it. And so you can put it into your mouth and just chew on it or suck on it for like hours. So it's a very dense Airhead.
I feel like somewhere in your life, you were a heavy tobacco user because you're like, I want big league chew. You're like, I want a big hard ball that I can just like put, and you're like talking about putting beef jerky dip in your lip for the drive home. Like, I'm just wondering if like.
I went to Winston-Salem for college. Like the tobacco. Isn't this crazy? All of these things suggest that I am like a chain smoker, like big time tobacco user. And I've never smoked cigarettes in my life. So like, it's like I'm getting it from all these different sources, and maybe in like the Tim to the Dwayne, I was just like a tobacco fiend, right? Because this doesn't make any sense. Why I'm like constantly doing all these like fake tobacco products. Anyway, Atlanta Beach Pie. That just seems like to me key lime pie. Is it not?
I think so. I think it seems like key lime pie.
Tom loved
that would have been a great one.
Yuzu heavy. It would have been one of your top picks if you were going to go.
I don't think it would have been my top. It was definitely one that you could duplicate or replicate. It didn't look like it was a regular crust. It looked like it was either like a pretzel or a graham cracker crust. So that definitely easy to make. I think that strawberry cake would have been an easy one. Benny wafers was hard because what are you going to do with that? So if you don't know what Benny is just like kind of an heirloom variety of a sesame seed. They're a lot smaller. They have a much nuttier flavor, and you just mix them with sugar and there's usually like we like to put a little vinegar in ours. But anyway, you make this really thin, crispy cracker that you could have gone anywhere with that. Mm-hmm. And you could have used sesame in so many ways. So maybe actually Benny wafers would have been smart because you would have had access to tahini, toasted sesame oil, like all of these different types of sesame. It could have been a fun one. Mm-hmm. You could put whatever you wanted in there. Then whatever.
I noticed Anthony, Lawrence, and Jennifer. Obviously, Jennifer, with her shoulder injury, she's not sprinting to the dessert cake table. Lawrence doesn't, and Anthony doesn't either. And the interesting thing is Lawrence and Anthony, and I would say Jen had one of the top dishes. They got in the top 3. So it's almost like, Sara, the ones who sprinted and really wanted to go get a certain dish, there's almost some strategy involved of just like, all right, rather than pigeonholing myself into one vision, maybe I just hang back and look at the resulting 8 dishes and choose the one that I like best because they hung back. That's a strategy.
I do not think that the judges thought Anthony had the winning dish. They very specifically said to him, they said that he was in their top 3 also. Said, you were a top choice of ours. I don't think it was. I really think that they liked Brandon's the most. They not a negative comment. They were really into it. I thought Brandon's was the most interesting. It looked great. It had, like the Sabayon he made looked perfect. Everything about it looked really good. I don't think that the judges would have chosen Anthony. And so I don't actually love that they let the superfans pick. Sorry, superfans. But we saw how much, like we saw last time when they let like the pitmasters have a vote, like they didn't always line up with the judges. And so I would have liked to see what the judges also had to say.
Are you like me? I feel like this is top Sabayon this year.
Oh, God. They just love it.
It's been on every freaking episode is someone doing a Sabayon. And at every, I think there was a couple in this episode too. Is this like Sabayon had a like big Sabayon, like something like when avocado just hit and everyone had to do avocado toast? It's everywhere in this season. And it's not top scallop, it's top Sabayon now.
I mean, you are correct. They're making mustard Sabayon. Like I think Justin did that, right? Mustard Sabayon with his hash. Yeah, there have been a lot of them. They are an easy sauce to make, and it sounds to make quickly. They are pretty stable. Doesn't she make a dulce de leche Sabayon too? Mm-hmm. Isn't that what Dwayne makes? Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's everywhere. They're stable. They're pretty stable. They're easy to make. That you are correct.
It's everywhere.
Top Sabayon.
Yeah, it's everywhere. And but I will say, Brandon, I have in my notes that he's going to win this episode based on the judges' reactions. Top 3 goes Lawrence, Anthony, and Sherry, and Anthony wins by a single vote. And it was voted on by the guests. Sherry, they thought was a little undercooked, but the guests love it. And maracujá, in Brazil, passion fruit, we would have it all the time when I lived there. And so it was a great use of the fruit, sonker, twist. Justin, the ambrosia, this from the get-go, it felt like to me a big miss by Justin. If you're going on Top Chef, learn how to use a liquid nitrogen tank. Learn how to do liquid nitrogen because at some point you're going to need it. And it just looked like he didn't know his way around a liquid nitrogen, which yikes. Okay, so this is my favorite Justin moment of the episode. We get a lot of Justin. They're like, the producer's like, do you like sweets? And he's like, I love desserts. And they're like, really? He's like, no. And then he says, growing up in my family, there wasn't a lot of sugar. It was a lot of healthy eating. So we didn't have a lot of desserts. And they cut to a literal picture of him as a child. And he has a plate of fried food as big as his head. And he's like talking about how he grew up like eating healthy food. And I can't tell what it is. It looks like it's like a fried fish platter. Like I think he's from like the north. So maybe it has like white fish. It's like
plate, a huge plate with the most underripe tomatoes sliced on top of like cottage cheese. I don't know what this kid ate growing up, but
no sugar, Sarah.
Yeah.
Can't have that. But give me all of the fried foods. Yeah.
I know. You know, I also noticed in his dish, so it was a cherry granita, roasted pineapple, brown butter walnuts, raspberry, whipped cream. There was a lot of potential to make a really, really delicious ambrosia salad. Like he could have, there's so much. And what I saw him doing, he was like cooking down. I could tell he was going to make like this cherry gel when he was throwing dried cherries and fresh cherries in the pot. And then you see him and he's like roasting that pineapple and it's like got all that char on it. It did appear that he had bagged marshmallows in his dish, which I know is a part of ambrosia salad, but I saw like little bitty baby marshmallows, mini marshmallows. I don't know if I would have gone there. I probably would have made like a marshmallow fluff and like piped it on top and torched it or something. But yeah, it's just too cold. It's too cold. Everything was freezing. I don't know if you've eaten stuff that is frozen with liquid nitrogen, but it hurts. It's like, it's really cold. And I think that Gail makes a really smart point. She says, when things are this cold, you just can't taste them. So if you're home and you're cooking and let's say you're going to make a cold soup, whatever. So you make in the soup and it's hot and you taste it and you're like, oh, it's seasoned perfectly. I like the salt. I like the acid. I like the sweetness. And you put it in the fridge to like serve to your guests later on, the gazpacho I guess you wouldn't cook gazpacho, whatever you're making. Mm-hmm. It will not be as seasoned when it's cold. So taste buds in your mouth, those things can contract, so you can't taste food as well when it is cold. That's why if you leave your ice cream out on the counter for like 5 minutes, it always tastes better because it's not as cold. So I bet it just tasted like nothingness because he's literally going from liquid nitrogen onto the plate and serving it to the judges.
As soon as he was like, I don't know how do I do this? And I think, was it Sherry or Dwayne gave him the tutorial on how to do the liquid nitrogen?
Yeah. Dwayne.
Dwayne. It was Dwayne. And I was like, oh, but he's going home. There's no way. There's no way. Liquid nitrogen, also, it's one of those myths, and maybe Carly can back me up. It just feels like when someone doesn't know how to do liquid nitrogen and they have to do liquid nitrogen, it just feels like you're automatically eliminated. With the same thing with a pressure cooker. As soon as someone gets out a pressure cooker and it's like, how do I work this? Always ends poorly on Top Chef.
I thought we were going to see Oscar. I thought, well, I felt very strongly about Justin as well. But we see Oscar. Okay, so Oscar he got the Moravian sugar cake, and then he does this capiotata type thing. So number one, he puts all of the breads in there. He's got like baguettes and brioche and slider buns. Those things all absorb liquid at different rates, and they cook like differently. Like brioche can get pretty soggy if you don't have it toasted before you put it in there. Baguette, it takes a lot more custard to like absorb into it. And so he's making this enough bread pudding or, capiotata to serve 200 people. But when they're like 2 hours out and he doesn't have it in there, and I think Brandon says to him, like, he's like, I hope he doesn't go home. I would have said, as someone standing next to him, I would have been like, dude, don't put it in that big ass pan. Put it in some, like, get some short hotel pans. What are you doing? You're like, this is ridiculous. I wouldn't have kept my mouth shut because I just, especially if Oscar's as cool as you say he is, I would have had to have said something. I'd been like, dude, this is crazy.
Yeah, he overcompensated because he was like, this is the thinnest, like, flavorless cake you've ever seen. And so I'm going to just do this big, fat, gooey thing. And you're right, is the judges are one thing, but the attendees didn't know that it was broken whipped cream. Tom is destroying him about, why did you serve broken whipped cream? And he's like, the diners don't really know. It was just, I felt like I could get by with the whipped cream rather than not selling it, not serving it. And Tom was just, he was agitated by that. You could clearly see that Tom was like, get this guy out of here. But ultimately, Justin,
yep,
with the flavorless ice cubes.
He says, they're like, why did you put it on there if you know it's broken? He said, well, I looked over at Sherry and she had all this colorful stuff. And I'm like, so you added, her dish was colorful, so you added white, like whipped cream? It doesn't make any sense. And she even goes, she's like, why are you blaming this on me? Like, yeah, that was a rough one. It was a rough one.
Are all the chefs colorblind? Because we had the whole color episode with Jamie Brown and there was like almost no color. And so here we go again. Oscar's like, oh, I saw her do color, so much color. So I added a pale tan thing to my dish. Come on.
I know.
Eczema is unpredictable, but you can flare less with Ebglyss, a once-monthly treatment for moderate to severe eczema. After an initial 4-month or longer dosing phase, about 4 in 10 people taking Ebglyss achieved itch relief and clear or almost clear skin at 16 weeks. And most of those people maintain skin that's still more clear at 1 year with monthly dosing.
Ebglyss, lebrikizumab LBKZ, a 250 milligram per 2 milliliter injection, is a prescription medicine used to treat adults and children 12 years of age and older who weigh at least 88 pounds or 40 kilograms with moderate to severe eczema, also called atopic dermatitis, that is not well controlled with prescription therapies used on the skin or topicals, or who cannot use topical therapies. Ebglyss can be used with or without topical corticosteroids. Don't use if you're allergic to Ebglyss. Allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Eye problems can occur. Tell your doctor if you have new or worsening eye problems. You should not receive a live vaccine when treated with Ebglyss. Before starting Ebglyss, tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection.
Ask your doctor about Ebglyss and visit ebglyss.lilly.com or call 1-800-LILY-RX or 1-800-545-5979.
People are full of surprises, especially when you travel together. Thankfully, Vrbo is not. When you book a Vrbo, you get Vrbo Care and 24/7 live support, so your house doesn't surprise you like your friends might. If something's not as described or doesn't work, Vrbo's there. Real people, real support, anytime. Book today on the Vrbo app. If you know, you Vrbo. Terms apply. See vrbo.com/trust for details.
We do see, so Lawrence, who makes the coconut tres leches, and he ends up in the top. And this is, I'm pretty sure that the producers are maybe listening to us, because remember we said like, hey, I know you guys are still cutting these episodes, so maybe we could get a little immunity talk, and then they put it in there. So I think that everyone can thank you and I that they finally mentioned that Lawrence has immunity, and they ask him like this, and this is a great one to have immunity on, the dessert. Love it. But they like his. They wanted more coconut, but they said it had a really nice crumb. I also think that his description on his menu was the best, because it said coconut tres leches, as opposed to other people who had so many words on there. And then you have to, I'm going to say, so Lawrence, we get coconut tres leches. Brandon, no, it wasn't Brandon, it was Jonathan. Chocolate chess pie. He does chocolate sabayon, cocoa custard, pâté sucré, and candied kumquats. So if you don't know what pâté sucré, it's like sugar, it's like pie crust. It's like a really sweet pie crust. And we see the sabayon again. I think I think he did a really smart play there. Like the sabayon and the custard, those are both egg dishes. And they are done with chocolate, and chocolate chess cake is literally cocoa and sugar, a little vinegar. Some people put cornmeal in it, and it's eggs, sugar, cook it all together. And that's what he did. He took the eggs and sugar and chocolate and cooked it all together. So I thought his dish was really, really smart. But maybe he didn't have enough crust on it. I don't know. They obviously didn't like his.
Are really good, man. The brothers are really good at this show. They're really smart. They tell a good story. They have fun. They're talented. They've figured out Top Chef in a way that is going to serve them really well. And I think I underrate, obviously in the draft, we had them in the bottom half of the draft. But they clearly think about, they present well, like they tell the story. Like when he's giving, I think it was Brandon with the eggs Benny in the quickfire, he's like, this is my kid's favorite dish. Instantly, you're going to be, that storytelling is going to strike a chord with the judges. It's just they have an ability to cook within the parameters of the show, tell a story, And that goes a really long way in this competition. And Lawrence is the same thing. He's always got a good story with his dish. And it reminds me of Vinny, where it's not enough to just say, hey, I used to cook at this restaurant and this is how they did it. That's not going to win over the chefs. But if you can tug at their heartstrings a little bit, they're really good at these little stories. And I remember, was it Lawrence just like talking about how to really think about the challenge and the theme and the prompt when Lawrence went and got the sweet tea off the table and was like, I'm going to incorporate this into my dish. I'm just like, like they're really thinking about this in a creative, innovative way. And I just think the Deardens, again, they're not in the top 3, but I think after this episode, them being on the same team in Restaurant Wars, I feel really good about. They've got, they clearly have great communication. I think it was this episode or the last one we learned that they talk every single day. So them being on the same team and them performing well in this dessert challenge, I think they're really strong. Like if one of those brothers wins this whole thing, I would not be surprised, Sarah. And I know this dessert challenge wouldn't have been my favorite to go and attend. Anna wasn't thrilled with they were in the Top Chef kitchen. It gave me PTSD from last year's Top Chef Canada, where they were constantly in the Top Chef kitchen and it felt like they weren't venturing into Canada all that much. And so I felt bad for the chefs that they were basically living inside that. It felt like, honestly, America's Culinary Cup, where they're just in that room for so long. I feel bad for the chefs at a certain point that they have to be in the Top Chef kitchen set for so long. So that's just where I'm at with this episode. It was crazy. I wasn't in love with the dessert challenges because that's a lot of sweet, and the timing of it. You probably want to be one of the first ones, right? The first ones to serve the judges, because at a certain point, it's diminishing returns on desserts.
Yeah, I mean, they probably were allowed to like run. They probably didn't have to keep all their ice cream at their station. You know, they were running back and getting ice cream. Yeah, I guess you want to go first. But here they say the very last one, Brandon's, they're like that. It was the last one, but that's the one I'm going to go back and eat. That's the one I keep wanting to eat.
I want that one. Yeah,
I know, right? I'll tell you I didn't really want to eat was Dwynn's. And I like her so much. But I thought she was like, I had this idea for this, here we go again. It's a dulce de leche Sabayon. And she has this idea and she brings it down. And I honestly think that if she had wanted to do that dish and she had presented it differently, it could have worked out. She didn't have any of the layers that are so important in caramel cake, right? Like that is what a caramel cake is all about. She just has this pandan. And if you don't know what pandan is, like it has like I don't even know. It's not a vanilla flavor. But it's bright green, super yummy. She has roasted bananas, pandan, coconut rice. I don't know. Like maybe
this is the shoehorn problem. This is the shoe. You come in and you want to make pandan at one of the challenges, and she shoehorned it into this one and it didn't work.
Yeah.
And the judges were like, it almost seemed like you wanted to make pandan and then you kind of threw in a little bit of caramel whipped cream in there that didn't actually taste like caramel. Gail was like, I just didn't get any of the inspiration at all on this dish, Yeah,
well, I mean, she pulls it from a restaurant she used to work at, and then a woman that was serving roasted bananas on the street, and that, and she puts it all together. I thought maybe we were going to see a really great dish from her because they opened with her. This episode was her talking about who she wants to win for. I was like, we're going to get a good Dwynn episode. And a
redemption story, right? Because she's like, I can't win. I can't get over the hump. And Lawrence is, coaching her up and you got this, you can do this. And she was in the bottom for this one. And she wasn't in the top. She did the fried green tomato, which we both preferred over Anthony's fried green tomato. But Anthony ultimately gets the 3 points on that and the 10 points for the elimination challenge win. So Sarah, you lost again this week. You still hold a very commanding lead, but Justin goes home. Mm-hmm. He's eliminated. He gets offered the opportunity to stay in the competition or go home with his partner, Jennifer. So Jennifer, she's complaining about her face is like dragging. I don't know what the right word is here, but kind of
almost like dropping or something. Like
dropping, right?
Like Bell's palsy is what we both kind of, I kind of think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This happened in the NBA playoffs with one of the biggest stars in the league, Joel Embiid, had in the middle of a game, his lips were falling on one side and his eye was kind of, his eye was covered because the half of his face was drooping in the middle of the game. And there was no report about what was wrong with him, and his eyes were not working. Like, it was so bizarre. And everyone in the like watching on Twitter and everywhere was like, is he going through like a stroke in the middle of a game? Like, we were all very concerned. And he's notoriously coy about his injury reports. So he doesn't, and this is all very, if you're a normal human being, you don't want like to blast all your medical history on the masses. But in sports, it's very different because those ailments, because of gambling and all this stuff, they need to report in football, whether you're questionable, probable. And there was nothing about Bell's palsy before the game in a playoff game. And he's fighting through this very clearly some sort of ailment. And that's where my mind went to when I'm watching Jen slowly in the stew room. They're like, are you okay? And Chris, they bring everybody out onto judges table, which is a weird thing. So already I'm like, they're bringing them back out. And then I look at the time and I'm like, oh, there's a few minutes left here. I wonder if they're going to like do a tease on Restaurant Wars. Sarah, they did the whole Restaurant Wars picking teams right off the bat here.
Yeah, I think they, I am glad that they said Jen has to go home. Number one, I think it's the responsible thing to do, right? Like, there's some negligence if they don't. Of course she wants to be there, and she's doing really well. So like, think if she wasn't hurt, like, she would be whooping that ass. She'd be up there like Lawrence, Anthony, like all of those people, because she does really good, and she is struggling. Like, she is in a severe amount of pain. So I am glad though that they sent her home, because it's painful. It's painful to watch, like, you feel for her and you want her. I want to see her come back. And like, especially now, if she came back and she already knew like what the game was, I don't even think it would be a question of how much she would dominate the show, because she knows really now. Good. She would have such a one-up on everybody else. But I'm glad they sent her home. I hate one of the answers that she gives to Justin when Justin calls her and he's like, well, what should we do? And she's like, you got to do what's best for you. That's not the answer. The answer is
dread right there.
Yeah. Get over here. I need you to be at the hospital with me. Like, and I need you to be at the hospital with me. Like, this is serious. They've been together, like 18 years or something crazy like that.
When my partner says, do what you want, it's really do what you want. I know what that means.
It means you do what I fucking want.
Do what I fucking want, right? And so in a way, she's communicating, sweetie, you should do what you want to do, is like, you better want to come rescue me and make sure I'm okay. I need you right now. So in a way, like, whenever I get that, I know it's not what I want to do. That's not the answer. That's your way of telling me I need you. So yeah, come home and I need you right now. So that when I'm watching, I'm like, oh man, I know what she's doing, and I know for sure Justin can't stay in the competition after that.
So I know, again, we usually talk about LCK, the next one, but this episode is just, we're deviating from our normal plan. Mm-hmm. I think that he left. He went with her and he said, listen, if she's okay, I'll come back and I'll compete in LCK to try to get back in. Still doesn't tell us where Seeger is. Does Seeger go take the place? Does Seeger stay? I don't know. Does Seeger just walk off set because he's tired of this whole hog thing? But yeah, I think he probably left, made sure she was okay, and then said, I'll come back. And I want to come back. She's good. So and I've been looking at her social media. She looks good and healthy. So I don't know what happened, but
she was at the premiere. There was no visible ailments. Like she wasn't in a sling or anything like that. But I, of course, didn't know any of this was going on before the season premiere. So I'm watching it. And in retrospect, I'm looking back and maybe I could have asked there's no way I would have known that she was going through this at the time at the premiere in Charlotte. So, okay. So I'm watching, as we always do, I'm watching Last Chance Kitchen a week later. And so when Rhoda goes in and Tom Colicchio's like, hey, here's the actual verbatim. And as a journalist, this is what we do is we get the transcription from all of the interviews and we write them down just to make sure we get LeBron's quote exactly right. Tom Colicchio says, this week's eliminated chef is not here. Something really unusual happened during the competition, so there's no chef walking through this door right now. It'll all be explained next week, so all I can say is that tonight's Last Chance Kitchen will do something that's never happened before. Whoa. Okay. So they've got to throw an audible here. They've got to figure out a way to bring some stakes that there's no eliminated chef, but also Rhoda, you're not like skating through. So they get $5,000 Wells Fargo cash because that's 2% of the overall prize. And what was so funny is when they have all these weird, they show a video of all the in the grocery store, the teams are picking, they're given the chance to pick like 3 or 5 ingredients. But we won't explain how they're going to be used, but you get to pick them. And they're all thinking that this is going to be ingredients that the other team has to use. So they have all these crazy duck head. There is shrimp and crab boil, which, man, does not sound pleasant to eat. They had fried fish with peanuts, coriander, all sorts of weird stuff in there. And the the teams didn't actually have to use those. It was actually for Last Chance Kitchen. And then Tom has to, for whatever reason, add 2 more of his choosing. And I got a lot of vibes of like, this is a Bizarre Foods chopped competition I do not want to watch. It was just too much. It was too much. In 20
totally
minutes?
agree.
Are you kidding me?
That's what you get. I've done chopped quite a few times. And you get the first round. I think you get 20 or 25 minutes. Like, it's not a lot. And also, like, the duck heads. Like, come on. What I was thinking, though, the whole time I'm watching this, and then when they show the other chefs are using them, if I was still on the show, I would constantly be thinking, like, oh, fuck, are they going to bring out these duck heads now? Are they going to bring out this, like, fried fish with peanuts? Like, what is happening? Why did they have me buy these ingredients? Like, where are they? What have I done to myself? That is what I would be thinking the whole time.
So I guess you just throw the duck heads in a stock and try to extract some flavor out of that. Cause it just, oh my God. And poor Brittany had to use the shrimp and crab and shrimp boil, which apparently is like fire hot, spicy, super bitter, salty, and just not, I don't know. Wasn't my favorite, but they had to call an audible, and I just think they overdid it. And Rhoda had the sweetener of like, if she wins, she gets to actually choose the challenge, but she doesn't win. Nana wins with the fried fish with peanuts, coriander, fried green tomato salad. That was really good. She gets $5,000, which is, a nice little thing for her. But that whole episode I could have done without. And I know they could have done without because they would rather have a true competition. My favorite thing, though, was when Tom was like, well, she's going to need some competition. And Nana gets up and starts walking over and she's like, Brittany, you too. And she's like, wait, me too? I got to cook too? I thought I was done. I'm good. I'm over here. I don't want to have to cook again. For what? Oh, 5,000. Okay. But Brittany was just like, am I cooking again? I'm sorry. So I'm with her. I was just like, oh, this just seems like they have to make up things on the fly. And we don't get an answer of why there is no person coming back to Last Chance Kitchen. Because Seeger, I didn't watch the entire episode, but I watched enough that we could talk about the fact that Seeger wasn't in the next Last Chance Kitchen. And it did cut to like a little montage that Justin 2 days later decides to come to Last Chance Kitchen. So like your theory is, he checked in on Jennifer. Thank God she's okay. Everything's all right. Enough for me to go back to the competition. Do what you want to do, Justin. And he's like, all right, checking on you, but I'm going to go back to Last Chance Kitchen. So we'll see what happens with that episode. We're not going to do the full report here. But I'm glad you're with me. There wasn't anything inspiring in this Last Chance Kitchen episode with the crazy ingredients here. It just felt like they all were very confused and not happy to be doing this. In 20 minutes, that's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, if I had to pick one of the dishes, I would have wanted to eat Brittany's. The way she like treated the melon like a green papaya, and she had like the perfectly barely poached shrimp. I also love barely poached shrimp. I thought that was super smart. But I guess maybe it was too spicy for Tom, I don't know.
Rhoda, what happened? We got to get Rhoda on the show. She went out with 2 first episodes and won them, and then has totally hit the wall. This dish, Tom said, was inedible, too salty. Like, could not take another bite of that dish. Rhoda.
The plums, like she's doing the salted plum, and she's like, oh, it's really sweet, but they are salted. Like they're cured, they're dried and cured. All of the moisture has been removed by putting them in salt. And then when I saw how much fish sauce she put in there, I was like, dude, there's no way this is going to be good. But there also wasn't any risk of going home, right? So I think she just went for it. She was like, fuck it. Like, maybe I don't win the money, but there is no risk of me going home. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're left with Restaurant Wars. Again, I was there. I've got some thoughts, the experience. I don't know if I made it to the show. But the takeout, I did do the takeout. And so I will reveal what that was all like on the next episode. The 2 teams are the Dearden brothers and Jen and Oscar, but Jen goes home or goes to the hospital, and we get the scene with Kristen and Justin with the twist that Justin actually was eliminated, and so they brought him back to like talk about what he wants to do. He starts crying. Kristen starts crying. We're all crying. It's all a big waterworks party. And on the other side is Anthony, Lawrence, Dwayne, and Sherry. They had to choose the teams, which is always awkward, especially for Restaurant Wars. We're at the point where it's not just like, oh, whatever. I'll go with you. There's stakes here. And the Dearden brothers are linked on the same team, as well as Oscar, and then to be determined. But my guess is that Seeger steps in for Jen as the 4th member, because I don't see how they're going to thread this needle any other way, and they're just going to have to figure out a way to incorporate a 4th chef. They can't. I don't remember seeing Seeger, but again, I don't know if I would have recognized them in the first place from just every other person in the room. Just last thoughts here. Anthony, Lawrence, Dwayne, and Sherry on the same team. And then the Dearden brothers, Oscar and whomever. It clearly, the Anthony and Lawrence squad has the most, and Sherry too. Dwayne, that's a pretty gangster squad team there.
Yeah. I mean, you can see them. They like reach out and they like kind of like pull themselves into this little group. And it's just Anthony, Sherry, and Lawrence that pull themselves into this little group. And then Dwayne kind of was like, oh, and she walks over like, I'm on this. So I think that, but the brothers, they work together. They are brothers, but they're different styles of restaurants that they run. One is a lot more upscale, and then one is like the culinary director for a large restaurant group. So very different styles. And then they've got Oscar in there. Who's the other person? I don't know. They give them 36 hours. They got to do 3 courses. Where there's it's 3 courses, and they had to have 2 options on each course. 1 exec, 1 front of house, 2 on the line. And they got to do takeout orders, and they have 1 hour to plan. I tell you what, I did not do a single takeout order at my restaurant. We have been open 11 years. I did not do a single takeout order at my restaurant until COVID. Didn't do them. And the answer was no. I didn't care. If you were eating in the restaurant and you wanted to get something to like take home with you, different. But we didn't do it because I just don't, I don't feel like my food is food that is meant to travel. You know, like, I don't want you to get your French fries home and be like, oh, these French fries are just not that crispy, or like they kind of are soggy. Well,
I wouldn't let people take out French
no
fries
shit.
if I had it on the menu. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd be like, no shit. They, you know, and like, or people will try to order stuff, and we have a lot of things that are like baked in vessels or prepared in vessels. And so you can never get those to go. Like, I will never scoop a banana pudding out of the jar that we have made it in so that you can take it home. Every once in a while, we'll catch a server. They'll be like, I'll just order it, and then I'll bring you a box to take it home. I'm like, y'all, we don't do that. Like, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. But
now you do takeout?
Not really. Friday and Saturdays, it's off limits. We just don't do it. If during the week, if we're slow and, you know, we can have time, but we usually tell them, yeah, come on in. And then when we see them there, we will like drop the fries, or we will, you know, if there's something that's fried, we'll put that in the fryer. Yeah, but I hate to go orders.
I was just going to say, is this like the bugaboo of all chefs, is takeout, and the way that DoorDash has completely transformed the restaurant business?
So we have no DoorDash, no Uber Eats. I refuse. If you want the food, you come drive your ass down to Freight House. You can pick it up yourself. But I love to go food, you know, but I like know where I'm getting to go food from. And so there's some places where I would just never try to order to go food from there because it just isn't going to work. But yeah, the only other thing that throws a kink in service as much as to go orders is the person who orders a burger and they want to replace the Swiss cheese with American cheese and the tomato with grilled onion and the this and the that. And they want their bun extra toasty. And can they have it mid-rare plus? And like, dude, that's why we don't serve burgers at the restaurant. The only other thing is someone who gets that many, like, you know, they need that many switches. I can't even think of the word. Yeah, substitutions. They want that many substitutions. That's the only thing that throws a kink in service as big as a to-go order. Yeah.
I have lots of thoughts next week, and I will share them. But this is going to be in terms of highly anticipated episodes of Top Chef, this is going to be up there because we're going to presumably know what happens with Justin, Jennifer, Seeger. What started out as...
You see that? Is it backwards to you? Next time. Looks shitty. It looks so hard. It looks so hard. God, Restaurant Wars is such a... Oh, it's hard, man.
Well, you had a Restaurant Wars that I attended. And it was so hot in there. I just remember it being very steamy in there. 3 different restaurants. So this is going to be great. Sarah Bradley is going to break down Restaurant Wars for us next week. And I was there, so I'm going to bring my side of the table and experience. It was unlike anything I've ever experienced. I did Restaurant Wars in your season. I went to the Southern Sides episode this year, and I will tell you, it did not prepare me for what was going on with this episode of Restaurant Wars. So I will explain all of that next week. Sarah, any last thoughts?
Do I get extra points? I need to know the score, but also if I actually nailed one of the Restaurant Wars concepts,
you get an extra 5 points. Yeah, okay. You get an extra 5 points. I will give you a bonus because you know what? I want to encourage extra credit on this show. Like if you're going to bring all of that great analysis to a show, I want more of it. So I'm going to incentivize this. Here's where I'm at. The scoring this week, how do you want to do Jen? She was in the middle, right? She wasn't in the top or the bottom, but she went home. I gave her the 2 points for just getting in the middle, but I don't have her as an eliminated chef because I felt that would be unfair. But she's on my team too, so you can tell me what you want me to do.
I mean, there is also the option that the doctors are like, she's cleared, she's good. She just had a pinched nerve and we clear her. And Top Chef is like, well, fuck. I mean, she's doing great. You're going to let her come back. I mean, I don't think that happens. That is an option that she's not eliminated. I don't think that she gets negative points. I don't know. Do she? It's out of her. It's out of her control that she has to go home. So
if she doesn't come back, would you say she doesn't get any minus points? She's just kind of in the middle. Like they said, you can come back at any season at any point. So you're still like live, you know?
I mean, she's on my team or your team? I have
my team.
Ben.
My
she's
team.
On your
you have
team.
Justin.
Negative 50 points if she comes. No, I think she just kind of lives in limbo. I mean, I think you just gotta, she doesn't get that big black mark next to her name when you eliminate a chef. Maybe it's like it's a gray. It's a gray territory.
It's a grape.
She didn't do it.
Grape.
It's a grape. Yes, you better make that a roasted grape color. She doesn't do anything that is offensive. She hasn't really served any very offensive dishes. She hasn't really done anything that is bad. I mean, she's actually doing such an amazing job. I don't think I don't want to give her any negative points. It's beyond her control. So we'll just let her ride.
All right, we're letting it ride. Speaking of ride, there's quite a roller coaster here. 3 in a row eliminated chefs from your team. Rada, episode 5, Seeger, episode 6, Justin, episode 7. So you had 7 chefs, and now it's down to 4. Brandon and Jonathan, the brothers. You have Sherry and Lawrence. I have Anthony, Oscar, and Dwen. But Jennifer is gone. So I've got 3 chefs left and hung out with them all last week. We had such a good time. They're great. And I just love that they're not jaded by Top Chef. They love this stuff. And Dwen continues to say, this is like the greatest thing that I've ever done. And it's so much fun. She's having an absolute blast. And you could really tell they genuinely love hanging out with each other. And they're so much fun. So Charlotte had a great time hanging out with them. And they're my 3 remaining chefs. So that's really cool. Really cool. All right. For Sarah Bradley, for Tom Haberstroh, this is Pack Your Knives.
Now, at McDonald's, wake up to a $4 breakfast meal deal. Wake up to a sausage McMuffin or a sausage biscuit, to hash browns, and wake up to a hot coffee. Get your $4 breakfast meal deal.
Limited time only. Prices and participation may vary. Prices may be higher for delivery.
Kayak gets my flight, hotel, and rental car right. So I can tune out travel advice that's just plain wrong.
Bro, Skycoin. Way better than points.
Never fly during a Scorpio full moon.
Just tell the manager you'll sue. Instant room upgrade.
Stop taking bad travel advice. Start comparing hundreds of sites with Kayak and get your trip right. Kayak. Got that right.
Now's the time to save on new carpet at the Home Depot. Receive 10% off your total carpet project and 12 months special financing. Plus, we'll measure your space for free. Choose from a variety of stylish, on-trend options fit for everyday life. With LifeProof with pet-proof technology, Home Decorators Collection, and Traffic Master carpets. Save 10% and get 12 months special financing now at the Home Depot. Offer valid April 16th through May 3rd, 2026. Exclusions apply. For licenses, see homedepot.com/license numbers.
Hey, it's Tom here. All right. It's time to continue our 6-part series, Savor Charlotte edition, presented by Charlotte Regional Visitors Authority. And I can't wait for you to listen to our sit down with Chef Callan Buckles of Rada, a Michelin-recommended restaurant in Charlotte that was also named to the New York Times most recent 50 best restaurants in America list. So if you remember, part 1 of this series was a conversation with a Charlotte born and raised chef, Chris Coleman, you might recognize from Beat Bobby Flay, Chopped, and many more of those Food Network staples on TV. He grew up with the city alongside its rise to national prominence. And this week, Chef Buckles shares a much more common story, moving from the bright lights of New York to Charlotte to make a culinary dream into a reality, and why so many chefs are following his lead. Culinary professionals, restaurateurs are doing the same, going from San Francisco, Miami, New York, making a home here in Charlotte. So Chef Buckles opens up, shares his story, and the reason why at some point in his culinary restaurant journey, some news brought him to tears. Such a cool story. All right, everyone, enjoy. All right, I am here with the great Callan Buckles, originally from Seattle, by way of, you're here in Charlotte by way of New York, Napa. You're well-traveled and you made it here in Charlotte, just like me. I'm a transplant from Connecticut, ended up going to college here in North Carolina, fell in love with the city, went down to Miami, and came back once I decided to start a family. So I wonder if you have any sort of commonalities in that story of ending up in Charlotte and being like, whoa, I kind of dig this place. This is pretty cool.
Yeah. So like you said, I grew up in Seattle, moved to New York. Pandemic craziness brought me out of New York for a little while, moved back to Washington State with my mom for like 3 months before going down to Napa. I was in Napa for 2 years, and I was in Napa not enjoying living there. And I planned to move back to New York, and I was like, this is it. I'm never leaving New York again. That's where home is. And then I met my wife, and, her family is here in Charlotte, and she was already feeling a little homesick, already, missing her family and not being around them and having that support. And then when she got pregnant, we decided it was time to make the move to come down here and start our own family.
That's almost exactly our story, Allison and I. We were in Miami, and it was big city, bright lights, really fun in your 20s. And then she was pregnant with our first child, and this was 2016. And it was a crazy time in America, in Miami. The Zika virus was hitting, and it was like, we got to get out of here. And she has a sister in the mountains in Waynesville, North Carolina. And I have some family here in Charlotte and Charlotte area. My grandparents retired to North Carolina, Charlotte, Pinehurst. And all like my favorite childhood memories were here in North Carolina. So I was like, yeah, let's raise our kids in North Carolina. Let's try this out. And 10 years later, here we are. And we're now sitting here. It's March of 2026. And your restaurant, Rada, where you're the executive chef, is one of the New York Times 50 best restaurants, just named in September. You must be like, wait, how did this happened all very fast? You opened up Rada, I want to say like a year ago, and it was already on New York Times 50 best restaurants. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was a really kind of like humbling experience, I moved here again with the motivation of family, not really knowing what I was going to do with my career. I first moved here and I got connected with Chris Coleman. I started serving tables at the Goodyear house just to, get some money in the bank, have a little flexibility having a pregnant wife. And I ended up at Haymaker for a little bit with them, supporting them. And I was it's funny that we're here at Tabris because I was in the conversation to be the chef at Mazee, which is in the space right next door here. And things just ended up not lining up. My brother-in-law and I had discussed opening a restaurant together. And things just line up the way they're supposed to. So I came on board. We opened in January of 25, and
it's awesome. It's for those who haven't been to Charlotte, you need to come. And one of the first stops you got to make is Rada. It's a restaurant that we need here in Charlotte. It's got a lot of, it feels like so I'm going to get this mic up here real quick. Let me tighten this bad boy up. Let me just do that real quick. I don't know why it dropped on me. I feel like it just dropped on me. Let's see if I can. Sorry, one sec. What's this? Okay. And then, okay. Hopefully that stays. Picking up 1, 2, 3. So Rada is one of these restaurants that I think Charlotte really desperately needs because it brings European Mediterranean flavors, really bright. And we have so many good like fried food restaurants or like big steak houses. But you go into Rada and the flavors are super bright. Veggie forward, I would say. A lot of fish. It's just not a heavy place to go eat. But also the energy is very bright. It's a smaller place, 50-seat tables, 50-seat restaurant. And I feel like there's just a lot of good energy there. Did you mean for that to happen, that you wanted like a smaller space that felt like a vibrant New York City restaurant? Because that's the feeling I get when I go in there, and the food very much is up to standard of a good New York restaurant.
Yeah, for sure. I've worked in small restaurants. I've worked in large restaurants. I've worked in corporate restaurants. I've worked in independent restaurants. I've always felt the most liberated in a small independent restaurant. Some of that's politics, right? You got to play like certain marketing rules and things, you know, go different ways. But when you're an independent restaurant and you have a small dining room, you really get a lot of freedom to put your statement out there. And so like, I think that's just kind of built into like what I want from a restaurant. And it's the kind of restaurants I want to go dine at. I'm never going to make a restaurant that I wouldn't want to be a diner at. You know, going back to like the New York Times mention, it was like incredibly humbling. We knew that Kim Severson came. We like, you know, recognized her and we're like, oh my God, like she works at the New York Times. It's really important and crazy that she's here. And like coming from New York, where like I've cooked for people like Pete Wells, you know, that wasn't lost on me, the importance of someone like that being in the restaurant.
So watching The Bear, all these people are like, oh, you have pictures of all the writers and critics in your office, and everyone has to know them by name and what they look like and all the disguises that they bring in with the mustaches. So you knew that she was there when she came to Rada. And what is that like for you as the executive chef? Yeah, I mean, I was definitely certainly like on high alert, super thankful in the moment, but like anxious, you know, like this could, you know, these kinds of diners can make or break your success. Yeah. And I remember the server was telling me like, hey, like she's dining with this woman. It sounds like they're doing an interview. And then as mains are coming up, they're like, hey, they actually need to leave. They have a flight to catch. They want to pack stuff up and get out of here. And like in that moment, like my world came crashing down because I'm like, man, like that was it. Yeah. Like somebody from the New York Times is here, an important food writer, you know, and they're not getting the full experience. They're not getting the ability to like really see the full spectrum of like what it's like to dine at Rada. And like, granted, like Kim is telling the server like, hey, everything's great. We're loving everything. But you know, for me, I'm like in my head, I'm like, oh no, this is not how this should be happening. A couple months go by. We get an email from the New York Times saying like, hey, you know, you guys are being included on a piece. We'd love to fact check some information, get some photos from you guys. And I was like thinking to myself, like, what could this possibly be? Because like, I know that none of the official food critics had dined at the restaurant. Since they've expanded just doing New York City, they now do like national restaurants. And I knew that they hadn't been there. Or at least I knew that I was confident I hadn't seen them there. Maybe one of our servers who wouldn't have recognized them dined or served them. But and then I started seeing these lists of like, oh yeah, like top 20 restaurants in Rhode Island, top 20 restaurants in like, and I was like, it has to be like a top 20 Carolinas kind of situation, which like, again, super humbling. Awesome. Would be awesome.
And I was like, but this isn't like a solely Rada piece, right? Like this isn't like anything like that. And then the list came out, and I'm a New York Times subscriber, but I don't like check on it every day. But my friend who owns a restaurant in the East Village, Smithereens, his name's Nick Tamburo. We worked together at Momofuku and again in California, again in New York the second time I was there, and then he opened Smithereens. But he texts me as I'm sitting on my couch, like I got home that night, hanging out with my wife and my son, and he texts me, dude, congratulations. And I'm like, what? And he sends me the link. And I'm like, there's no way.
Oh, it's already live and you had no idea?
And because he recognized, because he was right above us on the list. He was like the last restaurant in the New York section, and then it was straight to North Carolina. And so like Smithereens and Rada are right next to each other. And it was like, holy shit. Like I just like couldn't, I don't know. Like it definitely brought me to tears.
No way.
Yeah.
So what are you feeling? Like, what is it? Relief? Is it joy? Is it all of it? Like, what are you feeling?
All of the above. You know, like I worked in some very notable kitchens, right? That got a lot of great accolades, a lot of great reviews.
So Four Horsemen, Claude, Momofuku, I could go on and on. You've been
in Charter Oak in Napa Valley for Christopher Costow. These are all, you know, like places where it's high stakes. But all of this time, I'm never really cooking my food. And I would say like, even when I was in those places, putting dishes together, there was always a level of, you know, self-doubt, a lack of confidence. And I think that's like, you can taste that in somebody's food. And so like, I never really got a chance to like make my mark on a menu. Like I had dishes here and there that were good, but never like something I was like, boom, like this is like kind of like my identity. And I don't know if it was like moving to North Carolina and to Charlotte and not having the external pressure of like the titans in the industry I'd been around. But like I felt a little more free, and I was able to kind of like pull from my experiences, pull from what I learned in a more kind of like casual manner. And it gave me the confidence, I think, to put dishes together in a way that I was like, oh, this is like what I've been trying to do for so long. And I did a little bit of that when I was at Haymaker.
Here in Charlotte.
Here in Charlotte. I was there for about 3 months. And when we did Rada, it was, you know, it was totally my menu. And it was the first time I'd ever put myself out there like that. So like the moment of reading that in the New York Times is like the ultimate vindication, you know, validation of like, I'm doing the right thing and people are recognizing it. There, you know, there was a conversation I had with somebody when I was like going through menus I wanted to open a restaurant with. And they were like, yeah, man, like, you know, Charlotte's like, they're kind of a steak and potatoes town. Some of these things might be a little too ambitious or a little too unfamiliar, uncomfortable for diners in this city. And I remember like in that moment being like, I'm not going to live my life like that. Like I'm going to do what I'm here to do. And people are either going to love it or they're not.
Yep.
And like that New York Times thing was like, you made the right choice.
Yeah, because you're a dad too,
Yeah.
right? You're like, you're making a big move
Yeah.
coming to Charlotte, and you don't know everybody here. Chris, who we had on the show a couple weeks ago, talked about how he's like born and bred here in Charlotte.
Right.
And you're coming in as an outsider in the sense that, yes, your wife is from here and has a lot of ties here, but that's nerve-wracking to come into a city with some titans already here. It might not be, you know, the biggest names nationally recognized, but that's, I don't know, an anxious thing to do in your life.
For sure.
Because you have a lot on your shoulders, right?
Yeah. I do need to correct one thing because my wife will kill me if I don't. She is not from Charlotte. She went to high school here. They moved here when she was a freshman, but she will always say, I am from Miami.
Where in Miami?
Miami Garden, Miami Beach.
Yeah. Okay. Miami Gardens. Yeah.
I believe, Miami Gardens feels right.
Okay, yeah, that's important distinction because they're not the same city, Miami or Charlotte. You know,
right.
As someone who's lived in both cities, they're very different. But I love Charlotte, and I'm wondering, what are your impressions of Charlotte since you came here? Because you've been in some pretty big time towns around the country, and it's not like any of them, I would say.
Yeah.
Well, I would say this. Chris made the interesting point that the farms and the vegetables and the produce here in North Carolina, it felt very California to him in the sense that like you're locally sourcing your stuff because you've just got great access to some amazing farms, and you do it because it just tastes amazing.
Right.
In the same way that the California garden movement happened, where it's just everyone wanted to do the farm to table thing.
Yeah. And like I've spoken on this a couple times recently, just like in personal conversations, but like farm to table, I think, has like this very specific like style around it that people think of when they think farm to table. They, you know, they think Chez Panisse, they think very California cuisine.
Yep.
But like I would say like Rada does not fit in that kind of like preconceived notion of farm to table, but we really do try to get as much stuff from local farms as we can. And having experienced like farms that, you know, do stuff in New York, farms that do stuff in Northern California, and now farms that do things here in North Carolina. It's like, there are definitely parallels. But I would say like the farms that I've had the pleasure of working with here in North Carolina, they're much smaller than a lot of the farms that I've worked with before. Yeah. And like, they're real mom and pop spots. Like, you know, like, every farmer's there, you know, working every day, but like it's kind of like really small grassroots things.
I was talking to Perry over at Dozo, and he was saying at the Matthews, you know, farmers market, he'd become like best friends with like a 75-year-old couple who just have this like little outpost, this little farm. And he said those connections like really mean something.
Yeah.
Like really cool that you could be at a restaurant and then have like a personal relationship with the farms rather than just being like a package that you get every day.
Yeah, actually, Isaac, who owns and operates up at Harmony Ridge Farms in Tobaccoville.
Yeah.
He came by the restaurant yesterday and we were talking about this because it was our first time meeting face to face. And he was like, I don't remember how we started working together. And I was like, well, I was at Haymaker. So Chris Coleman kind of like did the introduction. And that clicked for him and but we were talking about how it's like, it's definitely one thing to like do business things and be looking at your phone or your computer and writing emails and doing text versus like speaking with a human.
Right. Exactly.
Which like, honestly, this ties back into a lot of the ethos of how we like to operate the restaurant. Like, I think a lot of the times when you go to restaurants in this day and age, like there's a lot of kind of like formality and what I like to say roboticness.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, my name's Callan. I'll be your server today. Our menu works like this.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can almost like write a script. We call it the spiel, right, in the restaurant industry. And I'm anti-spiel because I want that human connection. So like we do we try to do our best to really educate our staff on everything about the food and the farms and like all the places we're sourcing things from. We fall short sometimes because like day-to-day business is hard. You got to run around and do a lot of things, but it's important because when those people are going to the table, I don't need you to stand over the table and regurgitate all this information like you just crammed for your SATs. But like when somebody's like, oh, wow, like this is really interesting. I've never had a fava bean like this. And they can go, well, you can meet guests where they are, right? As much conversation as they want to have, you are there with the information for them, but you're not shoving it down their throat. You're having a dialogue. It's a real human connection.
That's right. That's right. Like sometimes you'll be like, oh, I love this dish. Is it a new menu, plate on the menu? And then the server will just like, oh, I just talked to the chef earlier today. We just got this great, pack of cabbage, right?
Yeah.
Whatever it is. And there's a real like personal story attached to the dish that's on your plate that at like a larger restaurant, corporate restaurant, you're just not going to get that same feel, which is, I have that conversation a lot in Charlotte where it's, and you see the same servers, you see the same people and I don't know, it just feels like home, you know, it feels like home in ways that maybe other places where you're hopping from restaurant to restaurant, all over town, you just might not. Like if you're looking for your favorite neighborhood restaurant, you're going to find it in Charlotte in ways that might be difficult to do that in other cities.
Yeah. I mean, I have this experience that is always stuck like a thorn in my brain. I dined at this restaurant in Midtown Manhattan, and I went with my wife when we were still early in our relationship. And the server comes up and starts to kind of go through the menu with us, and they're going dish by dish. And he gets like 5 dishes in. I'm like, is he going to go through the whole thing? And like, I as best as I could, like interrupt him, be like, hey man, like we actually have a pretty good idea of what we want. And he put his hand up and said, if you'll let me continue.
Whoa.
And I just remember like being like, is this the Twilight Zone? Like,
no, sir, you need to sit there and I'm going to read through this damn thing.
But it's like, people are trained to do this stuff, right? Like it's so built into their training and their brain that like they have to do it this way or it messes with their flow and the way they perform their job. And like that is indoctrination over training, right? Training is like showing somebody how to be, and like you can show somebody how to walk in a straight line, but all of a sudden if there's a tree in the straight line, what do you do? But if you show somebody how to move and walk around and like be able to dodge obstacles, like they're going to be better off for it. And the thing that they're able to give to you as their employer is going to be better too.
If you thought HBO's Euphoria was intense in high school, saddle up. Season 3 of Euphoria picks up 5 years later, and life looks very different.
Hello, Rue. You owe me money.
No matter what they're chasing, money, love, or redemption, no one can escape their fate.
The problem is, if you make a deal with the devil, there's no turning back.
Don't miss the 3rd season of Euphoria, starring 2-time Emmy winner Zendaya. Now streaming on HBO and HBO Max, with new episodes every Sunday.
Good sleep is everything. That's why Ollie's Science Bag Support is made with a blend of melatonin and L-theanine for both kiddos and grown-ups. So when your mind won't switch off, you've got something that can help. Your racing thoughts and restless nights won't stand a chance. Find Ollie sleep solutions for the whole family at ollie.com. That's OLLY.com.
Well, I wonder about this because I, as an outsider, don't know what it's like to get a Michelin recommendation or a New York Times 50 best restaurants. What is that behind the scenes? Is that crazy? Is that just like, oh no, this is great.
Yeah.
I love that we got this recognition, but now what?
Yeah, I mean, for us, like, the New York Times hit, and all of a sudden reservations went crazy. And then the Michelin recommendation kind of like started to come out after that was already happening. So like there wasn't like this huge influx in reaction.
You only have 50 seats, right?
Right, exactly. So it's like there's no ability to distinct between those two things. But we were busy. We were cranking on all cylinders.
And what does that do? Like, what does cranking on all cylinders mean at a restaurant that you just opened a year ago?
Yeah, well, and that's an interesting question too, because like opening a restaurant, you're also going on all cylinders. You know, the first days, first months of being open, I was there from 8 a.m. until like 11 o'clock at night because, you know, I'm getting there in the morning. I'm there with the prep team, showing them what I need, organizing how we put things away. We have a very small space with limited storage. So like getting things from local farms becomes difficult when those farms only deliver once a week, right? If I need 50 pounds of broccoli for a week and they only deliver once, like my walk-in is smaller than this room that we're in. 50 pounds of broccoli is not a small container.
Oh.
So being able to kind of like play that chess and like figure all that stuff out while I'm trying to train staff, while I'm trying to, you know, design menus that are feeling good to me and also contribute myself to this work and not just like tell people how to do things, but also there's a lot of stuff that I'm doing for all the things that we're all working on collectively. And so it never felt like that first year was just, okay, we're getting open. Okay, we're getting standardized. Okay, we've been recognized. Like it was like kind of one thing after another. So there was never kind of like a time where I felt like I was able to slow down at all.
Yeah. And it just, the train keeps rolling down the tracks
Yeah.
where you're flying up to New York, back in your
Right.
old stomping grounds to go to the James Beard Foundation, the platform dinner that Charlotte chefs came up and did this amazing meal that I was able to go to. And it was a really great celebration of Charlotte food. And then Top Chef is, you know, airing in Charlotte. So I feel has your head stopped spinning since you came to Charlotte? I feel like you open up a restaurant in January 2025, and then the Charlotte food scene just kind of keeps exploding.
Yeah. I mean, I'm grateful for it, you know. And I was discussing this next, in about a week and a half, 2 weeks from now, I'll be up in Philadelphia. And I'm speaking on a panel for, you know, chefs operating in emerging markets, right?
Yeah.
And like Charlotte is definitely of that ilk. And we were kind of having a phone call discussion with everybody that's going to be on the panel and the moderator. And we were talking about like, you know, what it's like to work in these places, and how it compares to how myself and a few of the other chefs coming from places like New York, Chicago, or LA, what that's like. And, you know, it's anybody who is a chef that works in the style of restaurant that I work in, or that any of my peers in this city or any other city work in, if they say that there's no ego involved, it's just a lie, right? Like there's always a certain amount of yourself put into your work. And if you're not putting yourself into your work, then, you know, there's a whole nother issue with that, right? But like, it's impossible to do something that feels so personal and like have it be completely detached. So coming from places where there is a lot of this buzz to somewhere where there's less, like sometimes that can feel bad, right? You're
yeah.
where am I going to get my validation from? Where am I going to get, you know, I'm not being reviewed by the New York Times here in Charlotte. I'm not on the Infatuations like top 10 hit list, right? Like we have Eater here. It's for 2 whole states, right? It's not for the city of Charlotte.
Yeah.
It's for North Carolina and South Carolina. So like there's a lot of kind of like, where am I going to get this validation from? Luckily for me, like we've gotten a lot of that validation from our clientele and from the city itself. You know, what I always like to speak on is like, we're lucky to have been accepted the way we were, right? Calling back to, that person saying like, hey, your food might not be ready. Like Charlotte might not be ready for that. You need to kind of think about it a little more casually and then, introduce things later. And I was like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. Why not now?
And we did it and people are loving it. People are coming to the restaurant. People are supporting us. And so that's where I've been able to get that validation from, which at the end of the day feels a lot more meaningful than any one person coming and writing something, It's like when people are coming daily and I have like people that are coming, like I can't remember the last time I went to a restaurant ever, actually, 30 times in a year.
Mm-hmm.
We have guests that come over 30 times
so
in this
rare
past
now.
Year.
It's so rare to find that.
And some of that's due to us being in a neighborhood, right? Like,
sure.
And being a neighborhood restaurant is important, living in a neighborhood and having a community where like, I'm going to go to this place all the time. And I was just actually talking about this because I went to Dozo for the first time about a week ago. I went for lunch with my family. And like I left that meal and I was like, if I lived here, I would come to lunch here every week. Every week. Because like it's delicious, it's approachable, it's like not gonna break the bank. Like I don't think they had a single lunch menu item that was over $20.
Wasn't over $20.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, and it's great food. I mean, oh, and I had this yuzu beer, and it was a Japanese beer.
I had the Sancho beer.
Yeah, and you're like, I can't think of another place in Charlotte that'd be able to get something like that. And they do. John and Perry do such a great job. And you're in there, and you're like, this opened like weeks ago.
Yeah,
this isn't fair.
Right.
But that's the kind of vibe you get in Charlotte, where it's all these exciting things are seeming to pop up. Where you go from a food truck into you're sharing a space at City Kitch, and then you're opening up in Dilworth, one of the most high net worth neighborhoods in the South, and there you are delivering amazing food like from the jump in a cuisine style that I don't think many people in that neighborhood have eaten there, that type of food before, and it's just awesome to kind of have that. I do think that you might not like hearing that you're a trailblazer, not in the Portland Trailblazer sense. I know you're from Seattle, but did you get messages from people being like, dude, I want to do what you did? Like, leave New York, leave the hustle and bustle, leave California, and then just like go to a town like Charlotte and open up a restaurant. And like, I don't need to be in New York. I don't need to be in Chicago. I don't need to be in LA or what have you. Is there an appeal to Charlotte and like having your own place in ways that maybe you wouldn't be able to do in New York? Have you had messages from people be like, dude, that's really cool what you did. Like, I kind of want to do that too.
Not so much personally, but like we were kind of discussing this again on that phone call prepping for this panel. One of the other chefs I'm going to be on this is with Kyle Nall. He has a restaurant in Minneapolis called Birch, and then they just opened a second one that I can't recall the name of. But he was talking about he grew up in Alabama in Birmingham, and he worked for a chef there, and he was like, oh yeah, like I want to go to New York. And there were people like, man, you already work for the best dude in Birmingham. Like, what are you trying to do? Like, go outside. Like, you have all the experience you need. And, he went and did his thing. And then when he was working at Gramercy Tavern, he was like, hey, man, like, you should, like, learn all you can and go back to Alabama and open up the best restaurant in Alabama.
Yeah.
And, of course, he did that, but not in Alabama. He's now in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And then, we were discussing this topic and like how when you're in somewhere like New York or Chicago or LA, you have this talent pool, right, of people that are moving to these places to be chefs, to learn, to get into their feet into the water and whatnot. And then in places where it's now people aren't moving to Charlotte to be chefs from elsewhere, right? But like one of my newest prep cooks, his name's Myers. He, was like, hey, man, like, I'm really like, people keep telling me I need to go to New York and Chicago. He's like, but I'm from Charlotte. This is my home. Like, I don't really want to leave.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And like, he's like, I just want to learn from the people that are here. And the ability for somebody like myself to move to Charlotte and hopefully, sorry, I'm going to fix this.
Yeah, mine was falling too.
The ability to move here and have a talent pool that is dedicated and interested is important. I mean, not everybody has the resources and the ability to go to these other cities to like learn these things. So it's up to us as chefs to like, if we want to be able to go outside of the 3 or 4 or 5 cities that you view as like the end all be all of dining in America, then we need to spread out into, this is a large country, right? And the ability to go to more than just 5 places to go get a good meal is important. And there's no way that that's going to spread better than people leaving those places and setting up roots in other places and being able to get involved in their community and take, you know, the younger generation that is around them and train them with these skills, right?
Yep.
It's kind of the idea of like, you have to go to an Ivy League school to get a good job. But like, what happens when somebody does that and then they come here and they teach at, you know, a smaller university that's here. And then all of a sudden those students who might not have access to going elsewhere are getting valuable information and valuable training and valuable knowledge and education, you know? So that's kind of like, it's an important thing to be able to leave somewhere like New York, come to somewhere like Charlotte, and like be able to share an experience that might not otherwise be in the ether around here.
So you glad you came to Charlotte?
I'm super glad I came to Charlotte. Do I miss New York every single day?
Yeah, same
know?
here with Miami, where it's like, there's things about Miami I just can't get here in Charlotte, but I don't think I feel like the life that I had in Miami in my 20s is very different than the life I can have here in my 30s and now 40s. I just turned 40. So.
Yeah. I mean, my mentor, Josh Pinsky, he owns Claude and Penny and the newly opened Stars Wine Bar in New York City. Him and Chase are both like, you know, very, very big mentors to me. And he talks with me about, he's like, man, like, it's tough. Like, I do this, but living in New York City is like, it's expensive. And he has a baby who's only 6 months older than mine. And he talks about how he wishes he could do what he's doing elsewhere. Obviously, he's very established,
of course.
And for me, it's like I don't have that same like necessity to be in New York City. Would I love to be successful in New York? Yeah, that would be an incredible validation in its own right. But like, I can be successful here in Charlotte. I can enjoy my life, and I can have a place where like there's not all of this external pressure. You know, life is more affordable here. My son is able to like get up and get out of the house as a 1.5-year-old. It's pretty hard to get a 1.5-year-old out in New York City and have, you know, there's a lot of things around. My wife, of course, is like very focused on him being safe.
Yeah, sure.
And like a subway platform in New York City isn't always the safest place for somebody who's 16 months old. You know what I mean?
Yeah. My girls, when we went to New York City, it was the first time they saw a rat. It was in the subway in New York City. And before that, they were like, I thought this was just in cartoons. Yeah, because like, I think for me, I think there's this notion that moving away, I had a lot of imposter syndrome of leaving Miami. LeBron James is there. They're a championship winning organization. I'm covering this team. And then I decided to go to the city with the Charlotte Hornets that have never done anything. And people are like, why are you moving to Charlotte? And I'm like, I don't know, man. It's affordable. It's green. It's wonderful weather. They've got a great airport, a emerging food scene. And I was, going out to restaurants all the time in Miami. And I just felt like we were getting on the ground floor or something. And over the past, you talk about validation, over the past couple of years, I just feel like that intuition that Charlotte is on the up and up has really been validated. And I'm also understanding that there's growing pains with that. We're not New York. We're not Chicago. Sure. It took hundreds of years for them to establish what it meant to have a Chicago food scene and New York food scene and culinary California cuisine. What does that mean?
Right.
Charlotte is still creating that identity. But as you're building the menu right now in early March at Rada, is there anything on your menu that you're like, especially I want the people to know, like you'll come to Rada. One thing I'm really excited about on the menu these days, not that let's say if they book this and book a trip down to Charlotte, it might not be on the menu because you guys change the menu so much. Can you give a sense of what would be on your menu or something you're really excited about the Rada menu?
Yeah, I mean, 2 days ago, brand new on the menu, I'm really, really excited about this dish. It's a fava bean dish with mussels escabeche. So it's kind of like a salad of pickled shellfish and fresh spring fava beans. with a little bit of shaved onion and the dressing of the escabeche with a little more vinegar and a little more olive oil. I love these like very simple, bright things.
Yes.
There's a lot of chefs, I think, across the world that like they're doing so much right with a dish, but I really like to just kind of like let the 2 or 3 things on there like really sing. There doesn't need to be this like giant chorus of voices, but yeah, this fava bean dish we put on 3 days ago, I'm very excited and happy with.
Yeah.
And I'm actually planning to go on my day off tomorrow to eat with my family. And I've been thinking about this dish all week long.
So you're gonna eat your own food, but like you're on the other side. You're not in the kitchen anymore.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think it's something I've always done at the restaurants I worked at, and like living in New York, when I'm eating out, it's I'm going out to enjoy and experience, but I'm also going out to like do my homework a little bit. And I would always make sure to at least once in a while come to the restaurants I was working at and eat it, because the perspective change is important. Not only to understand what it's like to be a guest, but to understand how like the juxtaposition of like being on this side of the passing puddings and being like, well, maybe this isn't important. And then like when it gets to a table and you're like, no, that part is really important, and it's very different, like eating something out of a stainless steel bowl with a tasting spoon versus like seeing it come to the table, having the aroma hit you all at one time, and like really kind of like experiencing it in that way. It matters, right? Renting a VHS is not quite the same as going to IMAX,
Yeah. I think being there in person and experiencing that on the other side in the way it's supposed to be experienced is important. And I hope you get a reservation.
Yeah.
You guys have been pretty slammed since even when you guys started, but congratulations on all this success.
Thank
and
you.
Welcome to Charlotte. I've been here for 10 years and it's great to have you here. We are some of the very few but proud Miami to Charlotte families. So that's great. And I'm glad you're here. Who would be more nerve-wracking for you if they walked into the restaurant? Ichiro, Ken Griffey Jr., or I'll say Gary Payton, since you're a Seattle guy. What person walking through that door would you get most starstruck by?
I mean, definitely Ichiro, 100%. Yeah. As a kid, watching him hit a grand slam with my grandpa was like core memory instantly.
He was in the home. I feel like he was in the Derby contest one year, and just like we always thought of him as a slap hitter and a guy who just like sped around the bases. But then like you get him in front of a home run derby and he can just hit bombs.
Yeah.
So you saw a grand slam by Ichiro.
Yeah.
In the flesh.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then many, many years later, the first year I was living in New York, I went to a Yankees game, and it was the day after Aaron Judge had just broken his home run rookie record.
I'm a Red Sox fan.
Oh,
so.
Well, sorry.
Yeah. But hey, we beat him in 2004,
Sure.
and it was the greatest comeback in sports history.
I remember watching that game.
Dude, I'm still floating, and it's been 20 years. I was in high school when that happened, and it was incredible. But hey, maybe they'll win a World Series one of these days, the New York Yankees. Callan Buckles, thank you so much, man. It's a pleasure. Go eat at his restaurant. It's called Rada here in Charlotte, on the 50 best restaurants in America, according to the New York Times. Also Michelin recommended, and also a favorite of mine. So I don't know where that counts on your leaderboard of recognition, but the Haberstars really love eating at Rada. And welcome to Charlotte, and thanks for bringing your talents here.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. Yesterday we had somebody come in, and the server walks up to me and goes, "Hey, does the name Sean Alex Gray mean anything to you?" And I was like, yes, Sean Gray, yes, absolutely. Well, is he here right now? And that was kind of like my starstruck moment.
Yeah.
So you're talking about these sports players coming in. I thought Sean Gray walked into my restaurant and I was going to lose my mind, but he's never been to Rada, but he was suggesting to some of his regulars to come to the restaurant, which like almost is better, right?
Yeah. And maybe when he comes, it's not going to be halfway through the meal. He has to pack up and catch a flight.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, congratulations on everything. And we'll have to do this again soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.